How are we doing, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. This is United versus everybody. I am your host, Sean, and I know it's been a minute, right? Just been one of those weeks, like I put out on the post earlier. Just obviously slow international break. Not feeling too great earlier in the week. I'm just got a little busy, so and you guys know me, I don't like to just talk and get views just for the sake of doing so. So I don't want to keep rehashing the same thing like we've seen a lot of people do. And I'm not judging. It's just I don't want to do that. So in any case, thank God the international break is over. And quite frankly, what a boring international break it was. Like, I feel like it's even more boring than usual. You guys know if you guys watch anything as far as international football is concerned. I just it's kind of annoying that FIFA is basically forcing these international matches down our throats by calling them the Nations League. It's a friendly, like I've said many times before. You can call it anything you want to, but it's still friendly. I mean, and I don't get what the point of all these friendlies and all these Nations League and all these qualifiers. What's the point of it if you're just expanding the competition? If you're just going to keep letting more and more teams in, what's the point of qualifying? This is turning into just participation medals for every nation that's like in the alphabet. So I'll tell you why, though. Cheddar cheese, that money, 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 money. That is why they're doing it. The same with Champions League. So you guys know it. Danny V in the house. Danny, your shirt is in the post, man. I did that yesterday. That was graciously passed along to you from Lionheart, who was the original winner of the giveaway on Saturday's video. If you guys haven't yet gone and watched that, please go do so. But we did another giveaway, as we do periodically on the channel, as a thank you to you guys. We are on the road to 2K subscribers again, but Danny, it is in the post, so keep an eye out for that one, hopefully maybe early next week. Anyway, though, Premier League is back, and we are here today to preview United's return to action as we take on Brentford this weekend. Apologies ahead of time if I seem a little out of it today. I was having a bit of a kickabout earlier for about an hour or so because it's so nice out, so I am very tired. I always get tired after I go play and then take a shower. It's if I sit on a couch after playing and then taking a shower, like I'm useless the rest of the day. So I got to keep moving, or else I got to like ride that wave of adrenaline and momentum, or else I'm done. So I'm just trying to power through it, right? This is what it's going to be like when Justin and I fly in for Europa League. This is what happened last time. Premier League. We flew in like overnight, so we left evening our time, got into Manchester like morning their time, and then couple hours later straight to Europa League. It's just you just ride that wave of adrenaline and then you just sleep. So Danny says a large works better. Well, good, man. I'm glad. It is a player issue, so while it is a large, it will be a little slimmer than like a fan replica large. So I don't know your normal size, so maybe I should start asking people what their sizes are, but you guys let me know. I was going to wait for the press conference to do this preview like I normally do, right? But I'm hearing that it's not going to be till tomorrow, which I thought all the press conferences were supposed to be happening on Thursdays this year, no matter what. We were seeing them earlier and earlier, but I guess that it is what it is. We're doing it early. We're not going to wait. But I guess what I wanted to start today is talking about the elephant in the room, and that is the situation with Sir Alex. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on that. I did put a poll up. If you guys are here, drop an opinion in the poll. Hit a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new. And so, as far as Sir Alex goes, so Adam Crafton broke the news earlier this week that Ineos have terminated Sir Alex's role as ambassador for the club. Now, he still has other roles, and he's obviously still going to be at matches and whatnot. But as far as ambassador role goes, that has been terminated. I haven't seen anything. If anyone knows, you can let me know. Have any of the other ambassadors had that role terminated? I think I know like Park Ji-sung was an ambassador, I thought. I don't know if guys like Wes Brown and whatnot are ambassadors. I know Wes Brown is pretty active with the club and whatnot. But you guys let me know if you've seen anything. I don't know if it's just the Sir Alex thing or if it's just across the board, no more ambassadors thing. But let me know if you know. So Sir Alex has been in this ambassador role pretty much since he retired, right? He's been paid more than $2 million a year as an ambassador, but now it sounds like that he's going to be stepping away from that, at least in that capacity. I know I've seen a lot of people raging about this. There were reports in the Daily Mail that the meeting between Sir Alex and Ineos was very amicable, very agreeable, and the decision was kind of a mutual thing. Like, it wasn't like a, hey, you're done, here's your, banker's box, get your shit and get out. Like, it's just, hey, this is what we're thinking, and he obviously is agreed. That hasn't stopped a lot of people from just buying into the headlines and the tweets and kind of letting their anger. I think what it is a lot of people are raging because they're angry right now with United, and they're looking for a scapegoat, and it's easy to pin things on Ten Hag. It's easy to pin things on Ineos. And this is kind of another example. Really bad timing, I'd say from an optics standpoint, but it is what it is. I think the media have not helped matters by painting it as another kind of ruthless, heartless, cost-cutting measure and calling it like disrespect towards Sir Alex. Adam Crafton knows exactly what he's doing. So he obviously put the article out. He jumped on the Athletic podcast as well, and he was kind of basically adding fuel to the fire in that regard. I'm sure that cost-cutting was a consideration, as I do think maybe it's just me being a business owner, but paying former players and managers to be ambassadors, to me, kind of seems like an unnecessary expense. I'm sure the Ineos plot that as well. People need to remember, too, that Sir Alex is like 82. He hasn't been managing for over a decade. He's been retired, and he's been paid pretty well. Almost 25 million in total since he retired just for the ambassadorship role. So he's fine. If you can't survive on 25 million over the course of the last decade, I mean, I don't know what you need. Maybe you need to reassess your budgeting. I'd say let the guy relax. Let the guy enjoy his retirement. He still has this non-executive director role. Let him come to the matches. Let him have his seat. It's just let him do his thing. He'll get a free meal. I'm sure he gets all the hospitality and whatnot he wants. It's not going to be the ambassador anymore. I mean, what does that role really mean? He's going to pop up with some appearances now and then. We're paying him $2 million a year to do that. Not a good look, right now. And right now we're skint. We don't have the money for that. I know you guys can say it's $2 million. We can find it. We don't. We just let go of a lot of people. We're cutting costs in a lot of ways. Like, that's not a necessary cost. Danny says, I agree. Salary was way too much. Danny says, I hope here on we turn it around. Yeah, you and me both, brother. What are you guys saying in the chat? There's only one of you in here. So 2 votes. Okay, both of you say no. So among those not happy about this decision, though, because not everyone is happy about the decision, there are a few former players. So Rio Ferdinand, if you can believe it, had some negative things to say about this. Now, has that guy had a positive thing to say about United at all? He seems like he's just jumping on the low-hanging fruit bandwagon these days. But he said, if Sir Alex can be taken out, no one is safe at Manchester United. No one is safe, all caps. Anyone can get it now. Ineos sending a message to anyone at the club, ? Exclamation point, ? I mean, Rio likes to stir the hornet's nest. I'll give him that. But King Cantona, Eric, has posted on Instagram to share his feelings on it too, and he wasn't happy either. He said, Sir Alex Ferguson should be able to do anything he wants at the club until the day he dies. Such a lack of respect. It's totally scandalous. Sir Alex Ferguson will be my boss forever, and I throw them all in a big bag of shit. I don't even know what that last bit means. People acting like that we've just like barred him from the grounds forever, that we've lashed a chain around his statue and pulled it down. And there are maybe some of you out there who think I'm being a little heartless. I'm not heartless. Like, I love Sir Alex. He's some of my favorite memories of this club. Like, I took this when I was there. Like, that's his statue at the stadium. Like, Sir Alex is a legend. I've said many times, greatest manager of all time. But as Danny was saying, like, $2 million a year to pop up. And again, despite what Eric Cantona and Rio will tell you, he'll be at the grounds. He'll be able to do what he wants. It's not that big a deal. What's funny, though, to me, is seeing all these fans complain about it, calling Ineos like Glazers 2.0 and whatnot. It's these same fans who are complaining about the debt, who wanted the Qatari takeover. These are the same people who are raging about this decision. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't complain about the debt and think money is going to solve everything, but then also complain when Ineos are trying to take difficult decisions and difficult measures to try to correct, well over a decade of, quite frankly, idiotic spending and budgeting and whatnot. The Glazers have basically put on this appearance over the last decade because they haven't had someone here to check them. when Fergie retired and David Gill, they basically just made it seem like they're rich and whatnot. They're basically like someone getting their like stimulus check or something, like buying TVs and whatnot. Like when that's not what we were. They neglected everything. They keep painting the outside of the house without replacing the roof or fixing the floor or replacing the appliances. And it's been lavish and extravagant and unnecessary. And it's been allowed to just get worse and worse. And Ineos have to come in, and fair play to Ineos for seeing all this. You remember they had a good look at all the books. They saw all this and they said, okay, this is the situation we're in. This is what's been allowed to happen. We're taking on this responsibility to fix it. This is one of those things. I know it seems harsh, but paying a guy $2 million a year who's been retired for 10 years is a bit extravagant, in my opinion. So actual football people are now here to make very difficult decisions to correct what the Glazers have allowed to happen. So we just got to try to keep that in mind. The Glazers were very happy to throw money around it, so much unnecessary shit. And because it wasn't their money, they were basically spoiled kids with rich parents. They had no appreciation for the club, no appreciation for the hard work and the legends that came before them. They did nothing to earn what they got, so they don't care. They never cared. It wasn't their money. It never has been. And because of years and years of that sort of mindset, that sort of business practices, this is why we're in the situation that we're in. So I will say this, though, on all that. Ineos better hope, and they better have a plan to turn things around real quick, too, because this is the sort of thing, like I said earlier, the optics of this and the timing of this, not great. This is the sort of thing, whether it's fair or not, doesn't look good. This is the sort of thing that will bite them in the ass if, like United TV is saying, we need to start winning. This is the sort of thing that's going to bite them in the ass if things don't get better. This kind of decision on its surface it may be innocuous, but when you add all these little juxtapositions of everything else going on, Ineos better have a plan. And big up United TV, man. I was just checking out the stream on your channel as well. Good channel over there. You got a lot of good guests. So yeah, good views and everything. So big up. So remember too, again, the Glazers played a role in all this. So, and I don't mean all this again. I mean like this specific decision. This wasn't a football decision. So somebody from the Glazers who was that? Joel that was there at the meeting. They played a part in this decision as well. So again, a lot of people involved. One could spin it even too if you wanted to get super tinfoil hatty that the Glazers are kind of using Ineos now and Sir Jim as a shield after they basically kind of took a step back, on its surface a little bit of hands-off responsibility, like, oh, it's not us anymore. They've been quietly kind of removing Fergie from the picture for years. If you remember when Jude Bellingham showed up to go on a tour, they literally forced Fergie like away from the meeting. Like Fergie showed up, wanted to meet Bellingham, wanted to talk to him, and he was basically forced from that meeting because they didn't want him part of it. So Fergie's been disrespected for years in various ways. I don't think this most recent case to me is very disrespectful in my opinion. It's a hard financial decision and it sucks on a surface, but I wouldn't read too much into it. Danny B, yeah, showing the love for United TV, man. United TV says, I have family visiting, so not on my own channel tonight, but the guys are doing a great job. Yeah, I was watching a little bit. Like I said, they are doing a pretty great job. Maybe if my channel continues to grow, like I said, this is more of a side thing, like a fun hobby thing. If it continues to grow, I'd love to maybe upgrade to like OBS or even StreamYard or something and get some more people involved, maybe up the production value a little bit as well. But I am going to be starting that course with the PFA next month, though. So I will see how things go, because that's going to be like a year-long course in emotional intelligence and football psychology and leadership. So we'll see how that goes. See what you guys are saying. Yeah, 80%. So 5 people voted. 80% say no, it's not. It wasn't wrong. 20% say yes. So obviously, differing opinions, but everybody's kind of getting involved. So United TV says StreamYard is free. Yeah, it's a matter of like sitting down and just like learning it for a second. Because again, if you guys have been watching, I'm not very technical. Like I use my computer for this and like checking my email. Not much else going on. So I don't have a problem with it. I'll look into it as well. StreamYard looks pretty simple from what I've seen. So something to look into. We are on the road to 2K. So once we if we get there, if we get to the place where the channel is big and big and bigger, then I have no problem doing that, getting some of you guys on to actually engage chat wise and stuff, maybe opening up that kind of thing for maybe like members and stuff in the future. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But Danny says, best luck, pal. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. It's been, I have, my school is like every 10 years. So I did my bachelor's, I graduated 2007, got my master's in like 2016 after like 10 years. And my master's was in something completely different than what I did my bachelor's in. So now it's been like almost another 10 years, 7 or 8 years in starting school again, because I'm trying to move more into that. So United TV says, also, you do a great job doing solo streams. If you need any help with StreamYard, let me know. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate the vote of confidence, and I appreciate the offer to help. Yeah, I might take you up on that when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I do appreciate that. I like to help other people out, like to, keep the community growing. I guess I don't ever consider myself in competition with other channels, just because I don't have a problem with the more people talking about United. To me is not a bad thing. So I'm appreciative of that, but big up, man. Let's jump into this Brentford preview. You guys getting the last thoughts in on the Fergie situation, if you have any. Seems like most of you agree that it wasn't, a wrong decision. It wasn't a disrespectful decision. It was almost a necessary decision, and it wasn't necessarily something that maybe Ineos wanted to do, but maybe something that we had to do. And unfortunately, it is what it is. So if I have a business, if I have someone who helped me start the business, who's been, retired for 10 years, but I'm still paying them, like eventually I'm going to have to decide if that's a wise financial decision or not. It just is what it is. So let's move on to Brentford, because a lot of people also have some thoughts on Thomas Frank. He's actually a lot of people's favorites and one of our picks for our next manager. A lot of people think that he could be our manager, which I personally find odd. You guys let me know what you think. But you can bet that Thomas Frank, the links to United, all that stuff, you can bet that's going to dominate the social media leading up to kickoff. You can bet it's going to dominate commentary, punditry, all the chatter. It's going to be all this. So he's been linked to United, this and that. It is what it is. But quite frankly, again, I don't get it. The guy doesn't have a great win percentage, like period, as a manager. He's he's had like 45% win percentage, both at Brøndby and Brentford. Like, he's not winning a ton of matches. I just don't get, people go on and on about standards. They want to compare us to where we need to be and compared to like Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, but then they want Thomas Frank. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but there's levels to this. It just is what it is. I think guys like Ruben Amorim are better than Thomas Frank. I don't see a whole lot of difference between Ruben Amorim and where Tenhag was when we signed him, other than maybe Amorim's got a little bit more tactical flexibility, and maybe his man management and communication is a little better. But again, winning things in a league that not a lot of people put in their top 5 leagues, after breaking up the dominance of other teams. That's what Tenhag did at Ajax. So you could argue they're very similar. Brentford currently sit 11th in the table, which normally you'd be like, mid-table, but they're above us right now, so I can't complain. They are 3 places above us, 2 points ahead of us right now. So again, we're still early, and a lot of people go on and on about the worst start. We're still very early. It is the start of the season still. A couple of good results and a couple of other results going against other teams could jump us right back up into top 6 in no time. It's still early doors. I don't like it. I'm not saying I'm happy about where we are, but I'm saying it's early. Again, like I said, Brentford are 3 places above us, but only 2 points above us. We could jump 3 places like that. United TV says United are probably right, Sir Alex, but the timing isn't right. Yeah, the timing and the optics don't look. It just like that's the last thing we needed right now. It almost feels like that. But it is what it is. It's like but that's been kind of the situation at United for the last couple of years now. Just like when it rains, it pours. We're struggling, new manager, this, and then like boom, Ronaldo gives an interview. Boom, Sancho throws a tantrum. Boom, Anthony has legal issues. Maguire has legal issues. Rashford goes out in Belfast. Rashford's having a row with people on social media. Like, it just, can everyone just at the club just chill for like 2 seconds and not do anything for like a week? That would be awesome. Focus on the pitch. Social media is the worst. I can't stand it. I say while hosting a YouTube channel. United TV says, unless Ineos want to send a message, they know there's not much other news out there. Yeah. And the media are going to squeeze every last drop from this kind of stuff because that's what they do. Again, it's the optics, and the media don't help. Like I said, Adam Crafton has been fanning the flames of this since he broke the news a couple days ago. So, but Brentford currently 11th. despite their early season hype, a lot of people are just bigging them up right now. They've only got 2 wins in their last 5 matches in all competitions. And one of those wins was against Leyton Orient in the League Cup. I think Leyton Orient are in League One right now. If someone can verify that. They lost to City, they lost to Spurs, they lost to the big teams. I think they lost to Liverpool early in the season. They drew 1-1 with West Ham. So the big thing with that, though, is, and I'll get to this in a little bit, they're scoring early, but so like they scored within like a minute or something against West Ham, but they didn't do anything the rest of the match. And so this is kind of like a big deal here. They did beat Wolves in their last match, right? But they also shipped, what, two or three goals to Wolves? What was the score of that one? Was it like 3-2 or was it like 5-3 or something? I had it written down and then I completely forgot to remind myself to write it back down on that. What did they get against Wolves? Yeah, 5-3 against Wolves. So they scored 5, great, against the bottom team, but they shipped 3 against them. That's like a quarter of Wolves' goals. So they can be got at. United CV says, I need to head off, mate, but catch you later. Thanks, man. Appreciate you stopping by. Big up. Enjoy your time with your family. Yeah, guys, go check out his channel. Rich, doing good things out there. Good guest on, good opinions, good chat. I've stopped on a couple times just to share my thoughts and everything, but I do appreciate that. Again, building the United fan community, all channels should unite. It is what it is. It's like me being a therapist. I don't look at other therapists as competition. You know, if I have to refer someone out, if I think another therapist that I know of might be more experienced or better trained in an area and somebody call, I'll refer that person to them because I'd rather have the client help. I'd rather help other people grow and have a stronger community of resources for people. So again, they have a few injuries of their own heading into this. Brentford, Darkrow, big up, bud. Welcome back, bud. They've got Visa is out, Rico Henry, Josh Da Silva, Igor Thiago, Aaron Hickey, Gustavo Nunez, all out right now. Damsgaard had a knock recently. Norgard had a muscle issue. Jensen had a calf issue. So none of those three played for Denmark during this break. And so they're all doubts as well. So they could be without some of their key guys going into this. So it could be good for us. I'm not celebrating injuries. I'm just saying for a team like us, as we're going to get into, is hit with injuries, it might be helpful for us. So while Brentford might be the perennial kind of mid-table club, they can still bloody your nose or two. They don't seem to be struggling with a ton of goals since Ivan Toney left. A lot of people were wondering, myself included, what are they going to do? They didn't really buy a striker, or at least a big one. Ivan Toney left, right? But they're not struggling for goals. They can catch you on the break in the blink of an eye. Helped a lot by the fact that their keeper, so Flecken, he's actually second in the league right now for accurate long balls. He can pick pass. He'll put it into space for someone like Mbeumo to run onto, and they can get you very, very quickly if you're not switched on, if your line is too high. I see that potentially causing us problems because we seem to always be vulnerable against counterattacks. All it takes is 1 or 2 passes, and our midfield is just done. And it doesn't help us. It helps Brentford that their keeper is second for accurate long balls. In the final third, Brentford's attackers have been very clinical. They currently have the best XG per shot in the league. And they also lead the league when it comes to shots closest to the opposition goal. So they're getting into very dangerous areas, very close to goal. Mbeumo has been on fire. He's got 6 goals in the league. Only Erling Haaland has more goals than Mbeumo right now. And Damsgaard, who might be injured, but Damsgaard has actually been very, very good this year. He had a shaky start, but he's actually been pitching in. He's got his key pass numbers are good. His tackles and interceptions are all very good as well. He's been helping them press from the front. Again, that's what Thomas Frank likes his team to do. They will press you relentlessly. They're not as crazy as Spurs are, but Brentford will still engage a high press. Damsgaard has been key in that as well. So they're not going to give us time on the ball. But honestly, if we're not used to that after we've been dealing with that all season, quite frankly, that's what a lot of teams do. If we're not used to that by now, and we're still going to be very slow, very just languid on the ball, if we're going to have issues like when Christian Eriksen gave the ball away against FC20 or when Casemiro gave the ball away against Liverpool, if we're going to continue to just dally on the ball, then it's going to shoot us in the foot. Brentford are very good at it. Only Bournemouth have won more tackles in the final third this season than Brentford. So we have to move the ball quickly, carefully, get it up the pitch, get it away from our defensive half, and start getting it up high up the pitch. So they usually set up in a 4-3-3, sometimes even in like that 5-3-2 shape. But it's their in-game flexibility that has enabled them to shift either between like a 4-2-3-1 or even sometimes going to a 4-4-2 when required. There's a lot of flexibility that Thomas Frank can do. Again, that high press can cause problems. So on one hand, you look at the high press, right, and you want players who can move the ball. So you're like, oh, no Maguire, no Evans. Maguire's going to be out anyway. But then they play those long balls. So kind of like Aston Villa, you might want somebody, a defender who can step up and win those balls in midfield for us. So it's difficult. This is like a double-edged sword here. Darkro says, let us help ourselves with a sensible lineup by tenhag. This guy's enjoying giving shocks to fans. Darkro says, your tactical research and know-how is great. Honestly, man, I just Googled Brentford preview, Brentford tactics and stuff. Like, and I'm not trying to like diminish myself. I'm not going to pull Gary Neville, but I mean, I spend a few minutes on Google. This is why I get so frustrated and I laugh when I look at pundits who have no idea what they're talking about, who clearly don't watch anything. I'm not saying you have to watch every single match that ever play on the weekend, but it takes a few minutes for these pundits to jump on internet and find some actual research about someone other than still going on and on about Kieran Trippier's free kick for England like 4 years ago. Like, let's like, the internet is there. Use it. I don't get why these pundits can't do it, but I appreciate that, man, Darkro. I do try to at least put a little bit of information out there. It's good when you actually have information out there and it's not just nothing but opinion. So what does that look like for United? Brentford press high. They can hit you on the counter. Their keeper is very good at picking people out. Mbeumo is dangerous on the goal. They're not going to give us time the ball. So what does that mean? Because try to contain your surprise. I know, sit down, but we do already have a bit of an injury crisis going on already. I wish we could go a week without an injury. I really do. We could be without as many as 9 first-team players, and that's including the guys who have been injured pretty much since the start of the season. So Manuel Ugarte was taken off in the 82nd minute while playing for Uruguay the other day. We'll see what happens with that. I saw Rich Fay online stated that it looked like maybe it was just a simple fitness issue, but then I've seen other people mention like ankle or even hamstring. It's an injury. It is what it is. That's all I care about. It's an injury. So we'll have to wait maybe for Ten Hag's presser to see, 100% what's going on, but it doesn't look good right now. I really hope it's not the result, though, like a fitness thing due to a lack of minutes, because that can happen. Licha was injured for a very long time. Now, that was a contact game, but then when you're out for so long and you come back, then we saw him pick up that little bit of a calf issue. That's what happens when you're not playing. There's a fine line between playing too much and not playing enough, and Ten Hag is not helping himself by just not playing his players, especially someone that he brought into the club. So if this is a fitness issue, then that's a little bit on Ten Hag. Kobbie Mainoo wasn't training, and it sounds like the club expects him to miss the next few weeks. So honestly, he's looked knackered. You guys remember me saying that early this season. He just looks exhausted already. I know he was doing pretty well in terms of interceptions and dribbles, but he just looks tired. And I do think he's a bit wasted in that deeper role, but he'll be out the next few weeks too. He did pull up Miss England duty, so seems like we can't catch a break. Maguire's out for a few weeks. Remember, he went off at halftime the other day against Villa, and the club verified this in their statement. Mazraoui had heart surgery, so for a second it looked like he was a cert to miss this one. But then he did train with the first team like it was business as usual. So your guess is as good as mine what's going on with that one. If Mazraoui is rested, though, that the left back situation is going to be very, very tricky, very, very interesting. Will we see Lindelof fill in at either side? I know some people have mentioned Johnny Evans. I think that was, I don't see Johnny Evans playing at left back. If I'm honest, there's no way. Licha at left back, potentially. I know he played there in preseason, didn't he? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. And honestly, starting at left back on paper doesn't necessarily mean you're playing left back. It's almost like we've seen a lot of teams do that this year where they've got a lot of center backs playing at fullback. But when they build up, these center backs, these fullbacks kind of tuck in to make like a back three. And we do that even as well. So even if Licha starts on the left, moving into a 3 when we're building up and letting like Dallo get more involved in the attack wouldn't be outside of the imagination. Could Anthony fill in at left back? I know a lot of people have mentioned playing Anthony there. He's naturally left-footed. a lot of energy up and down the pitch. He does put a shift in defensively. Some people think maybe Anthony could fill in at left back. I don't know how I feel about that one. Tyrell Malacia has been training now with the first team. He was pictured with Mazraoui in training today. Could we maybe see the return of Tyrell Malacia at left back? Maybe there won't be any left backs at all. Maybe we'll see a back three. Who knows? With the way we structure, again, building out, it's, again, kind of a bit of a back three anyway. A lot of teams are using those center backs, so it's anyone's guess. Darker wants to know, would I go with 2 CDMs against Brentford? We don't have many fit center midfielders as it is. We've got like 3 fit midfielders right now if Ugarte is not fit, and maybe if Mount is ready or not. So we've got Eriksson, Bruno, and Casemiro basically are the only ones that we know for sure, and maybe Collier as well. So we will see what the midfield looks like, but we don't have many options is the problem. I'm sure Collier will be on the bench at some point. So we know that Harry Amos won't be filling it at left back, that's for sure. It was odd, though. Like, it is what it is with Harry Amos. It's almost like the tenhag in or out thing. Like, why even bother talking about Harry Amos? But it was odd to me, though, today that in the club's statement that they mentioned Harry Amos, which was so weird to me. So the club said Harry Amos, the 17-year-old prospect, was a regular in the position during our preseason tour, but despite 7 appearances for the under-21s, he has not been selected in a first-team squad yet this season. Like, why would the club even bring that up in a statement? That makes no sense to me. Is that like pressuring on Ten Hag? Is it like, I don't get that. Why would the club do that? Using his age, 17-year-old, and then using the term prospect, you could kind of interpret that as maybe the club reminding us like he's not quite ready yet. He's still young. But then the club says, well, despite 7 appearances for the U21s and being a regular in preseason, he's not been selected. So, like, why would you make then make a point that he hasn't been selected instead of saying, like, maybe he's not ready? Like, why mention it at all? Like, that's what I don't get. That's just a weird one. You guys let me know what you think. Danny B says, Amos should be on the bench to get minutes. I agree. He should be on the bench to get minutes because, like, it doesn't make sense. Let's say we're up by like 3 goals. I mean, although we've been up by 3 goals in the 70th minute before against sides, and that almost didn't go well. But if we're up, you'd think you'd be able to bring on like a youngster like that, let him fill in, let Dallo, whoever's playing left back, get a rest for the last like 20 minutes of a match, and just tell Amos, like, just keep it simple. You know, keep the ball. You know, just pass and move, pass and move. It's very simple. Like, I don't get it, but you guys let me know what you guys think when we get to the starting 11 predictions. Don't forget, get your starting 11 predictions and who you'd like to see and your score predictions. Get those ready because we're coming to that in a little while here. So Brentford have utilized this slow build-up from the back at times. So I think there's a chance that, like, let's say Mason Mount is fit because, you know, he had that cut on his head and he missed the last couple matches. If he's fit, he could be very, very good for us in that regard. We know he's a pressing machine. He's probably one of the best pressers that we have at the club. If he's fit and Brentford want to continue with that playing out from the back that they've been doing, that slow build-up, I think he could cause problems. But the problem with press, it's like, if you guys ever seen that movie 300 where Leonidas is explaining how their formation works, their tactics work, everybody's got to do it. If one person is pressing and no one else is pressing, and not just closing down the ball, but like pressing in zones, keeping the shape, like synchronizing and staying organized and communicating, that doesn't work. It's just one guy running around, and then that guy's out of position if the other team bypasses him. So perhaps if Mount is fit, we can reintroduce that press a little bit. The problem is that I feel like when we've seen that press, we do it almost too much. We put too many bodies forward, and we're so exposed in midfield. So there's got to be a balance. Ten Hag's got to find a balance there. And that's where it becomes about rest defense. You know, how you're setting up to defend in case, you know, you lose the ball. Rest defense is not about what you do off the ball. It's when you have the ball, how are you prepared in case you lose the ball again? And we just don't really seem to do very well at that. Our defenders are way too high. Our midfielders are way too high. Everybody's way too high up the pitch. So again, could depend a lot on Mount's fitness. Danny B says, or God will. He deserves to train with the first team. Tell Lindelof F off. Yeah, I was looking more into this Godwill kid, man. This dude's a freaking unit. That's like the only thing I think I want to see. This dude's a freaking unit. Like, he just looks like a baller already. We will see what happens. I mean, we know Ten Hag does look to youth, but we also know he doesn't just promote everyone. It's like Amos. People have been crying for Amos all season, and he can't even get a sniff of first team minutes. Has Amos even featured as part of any first team like match day squad at all since preseason? I can't remember off the top of my head. You guys let me know. I want to say he traveled for like Europa League or something. I don't know. So we'll see. I know Mount, again, if he's fit, he can press, but he had a cut. But that cut was like 2 or 3 weeks ago almost. If you can't play now after a simple cut, like what's the point of him? It wasn't like it was a muscle injury. It was a cut on your head. Wrap it up Peter Cech style. Get on the pitch, man. Like it's a cut on your head. Then he says, 2 pressing high, go back to mid-block, 4-man press our players cannot do. Yeah, I think our players don't have the tactical knowledge to know how to press. I think they're much better. But again, they're like you're saying, they're better in that mid-block, low block, even like we saw maybe sometimes against Villa and hitting on the break. But the problem is, what's the point of having Tenhag here if he's not going to be able to do his tactics? And it's just, how do you, and again, a lot of people are like, well, Tenhag needs to get them playing better. It's not that simple. You can't just say, well, he needs to make them better. Like there's no magic elixir or button he can press to just make Rashford know how to press and how to close down space and whatnot. There's no magic button. You can't do that. You can't just decide to say, oh, make Harry Maguire better on the ball. Like Harry Maguire is 31. He's not going to just somehow be better on the ball because Ten Hag told him to. That's not how it works. So I wish, it's like this dichotomy. Like we have this tactical manager, we have so many players who can't do it, but then he gets players and then he doesn't play them. It's so weird to me. Like everything, it's a shit show right now. It just is what it is. But Mount, if he's fit, he needs to play. I think he could be a big help. I'd imagine we'll probably see Eriksen and Casemiro in the pivot to answer your question, Darkrow, because that's who we have fit right now. If Mount's fit, you almost don't want him in that pivot. I'd almost rather see Bruno in the pivot and Mount in the 10 in that regard. If Garnacho is not fit and Ahmad are both still not fit, because remember they're both pulled up with international duty, you might even see Mount or Bruno on the right side, because Ten Hag has done that on several occasions. Bruno cannot play 10 anymore, says Danny B. Play him in the 8 or bench him. I mean, again, it could be a 10 on paper. It could be an 8, depending on the situation on the pitch. We just don't play with 8s is the problem. It's just, if we played with different formation, it just is what it is. Darko says, bench Rashford and give him a condition to press if he wants to play. Yeah, I don't get the whole taking Rashford off against Porto thing. And we've talked about that, because you can say he's not pressing, but he's also been in really good attacking form recently. He looks like he was getting confidence. It was like Ten Hag spoke about confidence. He spoke about Rashford getting in the form, and then Rashford's in the best form of his life, is our best player against Porto. And then you take him off at halftime because you say we're worried about Villa. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But I do agree that Rashford needs to press a little more. I don't know if it's Rashford doesn't want to. I think he just doesn't really know how a tactical pressing system works. I don't think because that's not Rashford's style. Rashford's a counter-attacking player, and he's not even a winger. We don't have wingers. We have a lot of inside forwards, but I don't think Rashford can do that. So again, I think we're going to see Eriksen and Casemiro probably in the pivot, considering the injuries. And honestly, you have to play Eriksen right now, no matter what, given his current form. What did he had an outstanding match for Denmark the other day. He's been one of our best players so far this season. Been really good in Europa League for us. And even defensively, he's been doing well. He had a shaky moment against FC20, so it is what it is. But Eriksen's quietly been having a very good season. He's been one of our best players this season. I might, aside from like Evans and Mazraoui, I'd put Eriksen up there as probably one of our top 3 players. Like I said, Garnacho and Ahmad are question marks right now. I think Ahmad needs to play a little bit more. And we've talked about that many times. If Ahmad's fit, he needs to play. I saw Statman Dave put out a statistic earlier. He said Ahmad has created more chances, 12 chances, than any other Manchester United player in the Premier League this season, despite having played just 54% of the available minutes. So he's played half the time, and he's got the most chances created in our squad right now. Like, if he's fit, play him. We're not creating enough. We're not finishing our dinner. Ahmad is our best creator right now, statistically. So play him if he's fit. Now, I know he left the international break early again, but if he's fit, just play him. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. You guys let me know. I'm guessing, though, knowing what we know about Ten Hag, it's probably going to be Dalla or Onana. Dallo on the right, Delit, Evans, maybe Licha on the left, maybe Lindelof on the left, or Dallo on the left, Lindelof. I think we're going to see Lindelof at fullback. Eriksen, Casemiro in the pivot. Rashford on the left, Bruno in the 10, Garnacho probably maybe on the right. I don't know. I can't keep track of who's fit and who's not. Probably Højlund up top. Xerxes needs to come on when maybe we're winning or something, and he can come grab a goal or something. You know, Bruno is good at creating chances in those moments, or he used to be. You know, jury's out on that one this year. But I think Højlund needs goals. We need goals. Failing to finish our chances is killing us this season. Like, it just is. And if we don't find a way to turn that around, like, I don't see a way out of that. Brentford do concede a lot of goals, though, so I bet there's going to be goals in this one for sure. It's just maybe we can score one, maybe we can score two. I would take one at this point, but you guys let me know. Darko says we can't afford to have players who can do one thing but not the other. Rashford needs to do the running upwards and backwards as well. Mount has to press and create as well. And here's the thing. Here's the difference between someone like Rashford, because I agree with it to an extent, Darko, and I hear you. So Rashford is not great when he gets the ball in his own half. He's not very good. Unless he has the space to beat someone with his pace, he can't take the ball in his half, use a bit of trickery, and then make the space for himself. I don't think he's as good at that as someone like Ahmad or someone like that. Rashford. This is why Rashford's better, like, higher up the pitch when he has some space. But Rashford, in that regard, needs to learn that it's okay to not be always the one guy doing it. You can track back. You can at least put a body on somebody. You can help win the ball back. And then you can at least be part of the link, in a part of the chain when it comes to some 1-2s to create space for yourself. You'll get the ball back, but just we have to get the ball back before you can get the ball back, if that makes sense. So I hear you. I do agree. But again, it's that fine line between, you know, are you missing out? Like, I know Manu is playing more defensively, but people are saying we're missing out on a lot of what Manu offers because he's playing too far back. Could it be a similar situation to Rashford? And I agree with you. Rashford could do better to track back, but at the same time, does that warrant him getting hooked at halftime against Porto? In my opinion, probably not. We could have maybe won that game had he stayed on the pitch, but we'll never know now, will we? So there's no wrong answers. It's just, and this is why I don't envy managers. They make decisions and they have to live with them. It's like shooting a gun. You can't take it back once you've done it. So it is what it is. Like I said, Brentford can catch you out in the blink of an eye, and they do have a knack for starting strong and grabbing early goals. They scored in the second minute against Wolves recently, the first minute against West Ham, the first minute against Spurs. They've got a couple matches where they've scored early. But again, like West Ham, they didn't score the rest of the match. That ended 1-1. If we can weather that early storm by being a little compact, being a little patient, telling guys like Licha, just chill for a second, weather that early, 10 minutes or so, let them kind of get it out of their system. I think it'll slow down after those first few minutes. If we can be compact, take care of the ball, make smart decisions in possessions, I think in those early minutes especially, I think we will avoid any early bloody noses. If it were up to me, I might even start with a 3-5-2 or like a 3-4-2-1 moving forward without like two fully fit left backs or right backs or full backs. I mean, 4-2-3-1 or 3-4-2-1. You put Højlund up top, you put Rashford and like Garnacho behind him, and you kind of compact that midfield a little bit, set up, and kind of by formation wise, it makes a mid block. 3-5-2, very similar. It's a lot more attacking than people give it credit for, and it does ask a lot of your fullbacks. But I do think that's where you can maybe think about playing someone like an Anthony or something in that kind of wingback role. I do think, similar to how, like I've said many times about Daniel James, I think Daniel James would have been a very good wingback personally, or even a fullback. Darko says, is Manu a box-to-box player like McTominay? I think Manu, for me anyway, Manu is definitely more of an 8. He's very. I love midfielders like Manu. I love midfielders who can keep the ball and move the ball forward themselves with good dribbling. If you're press resistant, if you can create space for yourself, I think that's such an invaluable quality to have as a midfielder. And I think that playing him deep in the pivot, because we did that video earlier this season, looking at his heat map this season compared to last season, and his heat map now is so far back. And yes, he helps, but I think we're just missing so much more of what we could get from Manu. But that's a conversation for another day. Ten Hag and his players are going to be under a lot of pressure after a very, very, very poor start to the season. We picked up just 8 points so far, which is our lowest tally in the opening 7 matches of the season since 1989. We have no wins, 4 draws, and 1 loss in our last 5 matches in all competitions. You have to go back to the Barnsley match in the League Cup for our last win. Maybe that's our level. I don't know. I'm not of the mindset that the media and a lot of the fan base are, where I'm going to be like, every match is the last straw. If you lose this one, you're out. You lose this one, you're out. Like, I'm not going to buy into that. I know the media is pushing that. You're going to see that coming from everywhere. But needless to say, the pressure is on Ten Hag to deliver. And Thomas Frank had a bit of a thoughts on this as well. He was asked about this in his presser, and he said, "It's incredible how much scrutiny Ten Hag's had to face. As a head coach, I acknowledge how it feels to be in a situation like this. I think the criticism is too much. He's clearly a good coach. He's won 2 trophies in 2 seasons. But I understand how it is. If the team wins, the head coach is absolutely fantastic. If the team loses, the head coach is absolutely shit. Whereas it's probably somewhere in between." He says, "It's never only the head coach or the players or the fans or the board. It's a combination of all these things." And I've said that myself on several occasions as well. So I think that it's good to have other managers who are able to kind of echo some of the things that, cooler heads are able to speak up about as well. That being said, again, the pressure is on, and if we don't start turning things around again, no win in our last 5s in all comps is not great. We need to get points, and that's why I put in the title, like, this 3 points is a must. This is a big 3 points. We can't afford to keep dropping points anymore. I think we've got this one. We have to go to a tough match at Fenerbahce, I think, midweek as well. And then I think, who do we have coming up? Is it Leicester already in the weekend? You guys let me know. Darkro says, "Suppose that Bruno has a stinker in the first half. Are there any chances Erik ten Hag will sum him in the second after fan pressure?" I don't know. But the question is, do you want a manager to buckle under fan pressure? I don't. People say Ten Hag is stubborn. Show me a manager who isn't stubborn. I've never seen a manager who's not stubborn. Maybe David Moyes, but we all saw how that went. Managers need to back themselves. I wish Ten Hag would be a little bit more flexible tactically sometimes, but I don't think managers should buckle because of what the fans think, because I don't think that sets a good precedence. I don't think that leads anywhere good. But if Bruno is having a bad match, that's a difficult one as well. It depends on what you mean by bad match. Is he getting into good positions and he's just maybe not hitting the target, and he's doing other things well, like he's keeping possession, he's playing good passes, then you might not want to take him off. If you just have an all-out stinker where nothing is happening, he's a ghost, every shot is 10 yards wide, none of his passes are coming off, he's complaining, if he's losing possession, then you think about it. But at the same time, Bruno does have that X factor, or at least he used to. Yeah, we haven't seen it enough this season, where he could have 89 minutes of shit and then pop up in 1 minute and do something not a lot of other players can do. So there's always that risk. But I hear you. It's a tough decision. This is why I'm not a manager. Darko says, "Genuine pressure." Yeah, I think Ten Hag is under pressure. You're always under pressure as a manager. The pressure is 100 times worse at Manchester United because you get it from everywhere. Even when we're not playing, we get talked about. That just is what it is. And Ten Hag's going to have to learn how to navigate that as well. Darko says, "Never seen Bruno gather players when going gets tough." Yeah, I mean, and again, that's where it's hard. I wish there's not like a universal answer when it comes to what should a captain be or what makes a good manager or this, that. There's not one right answer. Everybody's going to have a preference. Some people think your captain should be the best player. Some people think your captain should be a good leader. Gary Neville wasn't the best, most talented player when he was captain, but he was a good leader. Like, it's hard. Like, there's not one right answer, right? So, but what do you think of Thomas Frank's comments? Do you agree with him? Let me know your score predictions, your starting 11. Somebody threw up a starting 11 up here earlier. So Danny said Licha, left back, Dallo, right back, Evans, De Ligt, Casemiro, Ugarte, Bruno, Rashford, Højlund, Ahmad. Yeah, we'll see if Ugarte's fit or not. And hopefully it wasn't anything too serious. What are your score predictions? Let me know in the chat. You guys know I don't really do them, but I'll just guess. I'm gonna go 2-2. I think that there will be goals. I think that we'll get goals, but I think it'll end 2-2. Danny says 2-1 United. Darko says it will be a draw. I'm not sure about score, but sure draw. Yeah, I just, again, I look at what we have and our potential, and I'm saying, man, we should be putting a lot against anybody, really. But at the same time, I have to look at the way we've been playing, and I can't see it. We're struggling. We could always turn the corner, though. Maybe a couple weeks off help some players. Hopefully, some of these knocks and injuries and like Manu, Garnacho, Ahmad, guys leaving international break. Hopefully, it's not too serious. We know Manu is going to be out for a couple weeks at least, but hopefully people can kick on. I know Rashford didn't go to international break. Maybe he's been training. I don't know. Let's just hope we don't miss out on not having McTominay here, because he did bail us out that one match with 2 goals coming out as a sub. Let's just hope that doesn't come bite us in the ass and we can actually pull something off. But I think it might be another disappointing draw. But you guys let me know your thoughts. That is going to do it from us until after the match. Barring any major announcements, probably going to come by after the match to get 3 thoughts on that this weekend. So thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you for getting involved again. Sorry for many days off, but like I said, under the weather, a lot going on, not a whole lot of news. So international break, all that combined to just a couple days in between. But I do appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Dark Crow, for getting involved. Thank you again, United TV, for stopping by. Thank you, Rich. Darko says, I always fear in the second half many managers outdo Eric Tenhag in tactics and with their subs. We'll see. We do seem to be a team of 2 halves these days, so it's just hard. Nothing ever clicks for us at the same time. We get good defenders and our attackers struggle. Our attackers score goals, our defenders concede. Our midfield is absent. It's just Ten Hag makes bad decisions right when the players are in good form. Nothing seems to align at the same time, and it's been very, very frustrating this season especially. But it can't be this bad forever, can it? Like, the only way is up. So hopefully we can turn a corner this weekend. Hopefully we can get a big 3 points against a tough side who are doing pretty well, at least goal-scoring wise. But we'll see. Thank you guys for stopping by. Thanks again. See you guys on the next one. Enjoy your evening, and I will talk to you later. Bye.